Awesome. Thank you, Brandon and Liam, joining us today. This is going to be one of a first Fireside Chat series that we're going to use this as a platform to really generate content and talk with experts within the field that can help outfitters work smart, have fun, and make money. So, if you're not familiar with Zebulon as an organization, I'm Zeb, the founder of Zebulon. Corey is the other better half of this side of our business. And we're professionals that help outfitters work smart, have fun, make money. Joining us today is Brandon and Liam from Tomis.Tech. So those guys are a marketing agency. They also have some really cool IT functions with like a chat bot and just technology that are always real, what I would say, innovative and cutting edge, not just for the industry, but for just the service offer as a whole available across the world. So, in today's discussion, we want to go through and chat about what happened to outfitters this last year from an online booking perspective and the impacts that AI had on outfitters' bookings across the nation. So, Liam and Brandon, we anticipate are going to get into some of the data, some of their observations. We also then are going to pivot to what those guys, you guys being the experts, believe are going to be integral and vital for outfitters to start doing now to stay relevant and to set themselves up for 2026. And then also some other things that are in the forecast that, outfitters can join you and get to know you guys a little bit better, whether it be AO conferences or content that you guys create. So, without further ado, Brandon, you want to give an introduction?
Sure, yeah. My name's Brandon Batt. I'm the Director of Outdoor Recreation Marketing at Tomis. Zeb did a pretty good overview of what we do at Tomis. We're kind of a full stack, one-stop shop marketing agency specific to outdoor and urban guided tourism. So my background is at one point I was a hiking guide and whitewater rafting guide. I've worked in the tourism industry for 10 or so years before ever coming to marketing. So I like to tell clients I know what it's like to one after another. I know exactly how that feels. So, and then I'm accompanied by Liam. Say hi, Liam.
Yeah, my name's Liam Hauck. I'm a marketing manager here at Tomis. I'm located in Missoula, just like Brandon and the company itself. Yeah, my background, I've had a passion for the outdoors my whole life, and now I get to perform marketing services for an array of clients across currently the Western United States and up in Alaska, but I've also had experience with some folks down in Australia as well. So I've really had the full gambit while I've been at Tomis, and it's really just been an enjoyable experience helping grow tourism businesses.
So just real quick before we get into the potato stuff, what do you guys do for fun?
Yeah, like I was
Oh,
mentioning,
that's a good one.
you, Zeb, I just enjoy spending time with my dog and taking him for walks, and my wife and I typically take him for a walk after work and enjoy time together. And then on the weekends, I'll be elk hunting. Sometimes Brandon and I will go out together, which we did last weekend and opening weekend as well. So
You guys have any luck?
no, we have not yet.
We
It's a little bit
chase,
of a sore spot for me, but I'll be back out there this weekend.
yeah, we chase one around a little bit. We had one
Yeah.
recently. Just always fun. For me,
Awesome.
I'd say it's family. We're in the family time of our life right now. We got young kids, so if we can get out on the raft or go fishing, we love that. Hiking, dog time, all that kind of stuff. But we're not getting too far from home these days.
How old are the kiddos now?
3 and 1.5. So
Rugrats. Yeah,
Like in
you're
the
home.
thick of
we're
it.
in the thick of it.
hmm Being an elk hunter too, Liam, you mentioned that, and we've chatted about that in the past. my wife and I are both elk hunters and deer hunters, and she's actually out chasing elk right now. So
Mhm.
our kid is 5, and now we're to the point where we can, kind of stretch things out. Every once in a while, he can come along with us. But we're not doing the backcountry hunts anymore. So it's a lot of like front face, like front range, or yeah, I guess what that's say, front country facing, trying to find those little pockets of elk within that mile, not more than an hour or two from home, because
Mhm.
know when he's going to throw up at school, and then you got to go get him, right? So you can't
Yeah,
keep.
for sure.
But you guys keep getting after it. What There was something that my dad used to always tell me, and my wife hates when I tell her this, is elk are where the elk are. I mean, those animals can be anywhere. They'll be in the sage, they'll be in the high country, they'll be, never where you anticipate them to be. And you just gotta march and march and march until you find them. So my
Yeah,
wife's
I think I
been,
was saying that in the truck last weekend, but the elk weren't where Brandon and I were. Actually, they were just on private land. So,
which is an issue in Montana. A lot of
yeah.
private land up there. Cool. Well, thank you guys for that. So,
I'm
uh,
outnumbered. I'm the only non-hunter here, but I'll keep my mouth shut.
Corey likes WWE. Like, that's
I
kind
get hiking, I go hiking, I get outdoors too. I just not with a rifle at hand, you know.
of. Um, yeah, so on another topic, Corey spent a lot of time down in like Chile or Peru for a long time, and spent that was her intro really into the industry initially, which was really cool. So
Yeah,
we'll go through that another day.
that's for another fireside chat.
Um, so to start getting into it, and really what was the catalyst and the initiation for this conversation is this year there was some shakeup that happened, especially in the online booking scene, right? So, broader series, we had COVID happen 2020. There was a handful of banner years, and then there's been steady kind of declines taking place ever since COVID. Coming into the 2025 season, we were anticipating, bookings to be at best flat, anticipating a little bit of a drop, but hopefully it would have ideally been a little bit of a climb. However, when early season started to come into play, those May and early June bookings, when it came to like the holidays, as well as that first part of summer, man, bookings just weren't quite coming in where it was. There were some regional issues with weather that took place. The Midwest was cold. There was some water issues that were kind of taking place. But any of that, it seemed like there was something else going on beyond those because the booking numbers were just down. And so, at least within Zebulon, we got to the point where we started diving into it, and there were some website traffic issues or there was conversion issues, and we couldn't quite put our hand on it. We anticipated it to be AI, and we figured AI had some influence, which finally, through the remaining part of the summer, that was confirmed that likely it was AI. And these guys have some really good data on it that they're going to share with you. But early on, we basically looked at those Google Ads and said for our clients, let's take the top off of these Google ad numbers. We're coming into mid-June, beginning of July. Bookings aren't where we want them to be right now. Let's go Hail Mary on Google Ads. We took the lid off of the Google ad spend, and those outfitters that did that, boom, their bookings rebounded, which supported our AI influence in that it appeared like Google recognized the drop in Google ad revenue and basically did a pay to play game this year. So those that did make the investment finally recovered, right? But let's talk about that AI kind of stuff. And I want to hear from you guys. And you guys said you had some data that you prepared for us on this, on your experience through this summer. And what did you observe? And what was that narrative and story that you guys helped your clients get through? And where are we at today coming into the 2026 planning?
Yeah, yeah, good questions, good setup there. Couple things. One, I'm going to try to go slow. We're looking at data all the time at Thomas. We have so many different levers to pull and so much data to look at to make decisions off of. So I'll try to slow down here. Second to that, Seb, it's never just one thing. It's never just one problem. you've mentioned, isolated markets or weather or natural disasters. We saw different trends and pockets of trends across various clients. One thing I do think we saw across all clients, and something that we do have control over, is organic and the impact that AI had on the organic traffic this last year. So Liam and I were going through some client-wide data specific to our outdoor recreation clients, who most of them are outfitters, right? We have our bread and butter is kind of whitewater rafting. We've got some zip lining, some guided fishing, just kind of, paint the picture. And we were looking at Search Console data across all these various clients. And we saw that keyword rankings had improved across these clients by 12% working with Tomis. So we had gotten them into better positions overall by 12% total. Even though we saw click-through rate decreases of 30%. So positional ranking improved, click-through rate went down by 30%. That is an inverse correlation to what we would traditionally see pre-AI overviews, right? We even saw a 44% increase in sessions, or sorry, impressions to our client search terms. So they got seen 44% more time, yet they were clicked on 30% less. So that's the kind of thing that we're watching unfold in search results right now. We have data to support, and there are studies out there that support that click-through rate decreased 46% in general, not just our industry, when an AI big drops in clicks into websites. Those clicks that our clients are getting are higher quality.
Okay, that's good.
So I can keep explaining what we think that looks like if you want.
Yeah, no, I would like to hear that, right? I'd like to hear that impact that, that eventually has on revenue, right? And in
Yeah.
summary, what I got from that is people are using the AI overview. You mentioned pre-AI overview and post-AI overview. So AI overview would be like you get onto Google and you do your typical Google search, and the AI overview is what was populating before Google Ads and before SEO. And so
Right.
sometimes it was auto expanded, sometimes you had to expand it. And this was just what I remembered as a user. So then you would read what AI produced out of it, and then, that would be an impression. And then depending on how well AI captured your data or captured the answered the response and how well you populated within it, they may or may not have got to a website. So it sounds like that click into the website went down 33%. That's like a third drop. However, it was better in that those people that made it, they were already, know, like, and trusted from the AI overview. The AI overview populated something that was more relevant to them. Therefore, there was actual higher purchasing rate once they got on the website.
Correct. Yep.
Fascinating. Okay.
Very fascinating.
Liam, what else? What other color would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I think, something that's important to also understand, aside from just the data pieces of an AI overview and Google Ads and impressions and click-through rates, is the actual visual side of what that Google search looks like. When you add ads in a Google search and you also add an AI overview, the top three organic rankings are further down on the page than they've ever been. Users just don't want to scroll down that far. So that high value information that they're seeing on their initial search, they're not scrolling past that very far. So that's part of the reason why we're seeing that decline in click-through rate. And it's been especially relevant over the last year because when you look at the timeline of when these things were actually rolled out, Google rolled out AI overviews in May of 2024, and they became more and more prevalent over the months to come. And then, in June of 2025, AI mode in Google became publicly available for folks outside of Google Labs. And then, most recently, they rolled it out to 180 plus countries. So they've really been rolling this out over the past year. And so it totally coincides with this data we're talking about in terms of direct impact because of, if you go back 2+ years, these these AI platforms and generative AI were just not there.
Mhm.
I don't remember the exact data points, but when I was at the AICPA conference this last year, and the AICPA is the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. It's like the big fish in the pond for conferences to go to for accountants. It's like a global entity, and it attracts people from all over the world. But the who's who is there. I mean, we've got Google reps there, we've got the Intuit reps there. It's the big players in the scene, and in these scenes. And there was a session I sat in on that showed the adoption rate of like 10 million users. And they talked about, and again, I don't remember the exact years, but Netflix was like 10 years, for example. And then there was like Facebook was like 4 years or something. ChatGPT was like a day and a half. Like that's how fast
Wow.
this AI adoption happened. And it's not going away, right?
Hmm.
All right, cool. So I do want to get into what you guys were saying about the content to be able to populate within it, right? And I would imagine within your data set, you could look at those outfitters who are probably overperforming even or performing even better than those stats that you had versus those that may have been lesser. Or maybe you have just a general sense too for what were people doing that were generating and populating in the AI overview versus those that don't. Okay. Before I do that, I do want to plug our AI Accelerator, which is coming up starting October 15th, and it's going to be October 14th. Thank you, Corey. It's going to be a 6 session accelerator, which is a working intensive where we have a dozen outfit operators from across the world diving into AI, learning about AI as a tool, learning how to create AI agents to effectively use AI to create content that's going to be attractive to AI. And the very first session, we're going to go through the current landscape today of what tools are out there, who are using those different tools. So think Google overview that we're chatting about, ChatGPT, Perplexity, the big ones. And all of those big ones source their data from different sources. And so Corey's going to share that knowledge with you guys. Okay. All right. Thanks for the plug. Thank you for letting me do the plug. All right, Brendan, let's get back into that question about content.
Yeah. Well, so we kind of look at this from a number of different ways. And, one of the things about kind of predicting what's going to happen out in search or how to manipulate content for search is that we don't know all the answers. Google doesn't come out and just say, like, here's the change we made. Here's how you can beat us at our own game, right?
They don't want
Only
you.
they would.
Right. So I think it's good that we clear that up, that we're still operating under the assumption, it's like E. Google's been talking about writing authoritative, trustworthy content for the last, 10 years, basically. And that is still the school of thought. I know, Liam, you have a lot of thoughts on this too, but the better your content, the more often you will still show up in search results. But there are ways where you can structure content to be more digestible for search engines, right? As a consumer, some of the things we're asking Google search and receiving AIOs for are questions. And Zeb, we were talking about this the other day. It's like, what are those questions that we're getting on the tour? Not just like, what's your cancellation policy, but, what is it? What's it look like when bighorn sheep come down the rock wall above camp when you're staying there? How old are they? Is that a mature ram? Is it a young ram? All those kinds of things that people are getting out on the river, those are the kinds of things we want to answer and maybe populate in AIOs, right? So structuring things as questions and answers has been one of our biggest low-hanging fruits of the year.
So
You love
low-hanging
some good
fruit.
low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Corey likes
Liam?
that forward. What's the low-hanging fruit? So answering those typical questions that customers will ask. And then, another place to source that would be like the phone conversations you have when people are asking those standard things. Outfitters might have recordings of those different conversations, or the receptionist, you go to them and be like, hey guys, what are the top 10 questions you answer all the time? What do you find yourself answering daily to people? And then just effectively creating a blog post answering that question and an elaborated blog post, right? So that's that low-hanging fruit item to start populating in those AI searches. Because if they're asking on the phone or they're asking in person, they are very likely or most likely to be asking the same question with their thumbs on a computer screen right now.
Correct. Yep.
I found an article recently that called it LLM seeding. So you're planting the seeds for these questions so that LLMs can find it and send people to you.
Yep. For sure.
Anticipating the question. So you're anticipating the question and you're just putting content out there, anticipating it so the LLM can find it. Cool. Liam, you were going to interject something at one point.
Yeah, some of these talking points that Brandon just covered are some of the items I was gonna mention here, which is just easy way to double down on things now. But a good way to go about kind of finding the user experience or customer questions or even customer expectations or disappointments that you can incorporate into blog content is something I've been looking into lately. And you can refer to it as review mining. I'll go into, a Google business profile and I'll export every single review into a chat GPT and ask it to tell me what the overall customer sentiment was. And that's going to give me a good understanding of what their questions were. Did they have any issues when they were on the tour? Did they have high expectations or low expectations? And you can address that in, FAQ style format, whether it's on a trip page, in blog content, or otherwise. And that's just such high valuable content that then can get pulled into generative AI and be in front of users in Google and ChatGPT, et cetera. So use the data that you already have. That's a great place to start.
And that's
And
twofold. It improves the user experience. The customers who are experiencing your services get the benefit of you answering those questions preemptively. And then it also brings more traffic to your site. So win-win.
Yeah, for sure.
what's cool about that is it actually also gives you visibility into your true brand promise, right? So if customers are putting things into the chat or they're putting things into their reviews, oftentimes they're elaborating on what was most impactful or what did they remember most, right? What's the quote we use all the time, Corey? People don't remember what you said or what you did, but they remember how you made them feel. So, and we see that all the time in Google reviews, and people will comment on, what was most impactful for them. And what we've noticed is when we have conversations with clients, not just our clients, but like when our clients will do marketing research and we'll record phone calls, we'll hear people describe what was most impactful about their experience, what they remembered from it. And so many of those stories from people who aren't even related to each other, there's patterns and there's verbiage that they use and there's key things that they key in on. And guess what? Those are not promises as they're not usually the values or the sales items that you see when you're going to check out. But
Mhm.
it's what the consumers are saying is your company's value prop. It's what the consumers are saying, what's most important to them. So you do your review mining as you were talking about, get those key patterns. It helps you as a manager or owner see, wow, this is really what our company is about from a customer perspective. And then you can build content around that. Talk about diverse, talk about setting yourself separate from the competition, especially in highly competitive markets, targeting the verbiage and the values of what your audience wants, not just what everybody else is putting out there. That's how you increase your price. That's how you charge, 40, 50, 60% above and beyond your competition because you've actually resonated with the customer and you've listened to the customer and used the customer's words. So,
Sure. Truly understand your own value proposition. I think a lot of, operators kind of rest on their laurels and just describe their tour the same way every single year without really truly understanding it.
well, not understanding it from the customer's view.
Correct.
We understand it from the operator's view, the execution side of it, but it's the bighorn questions you're talking about, Brandon. It's those
Yeah.
moments that people go home to their friends and family and talk about.
And Zeb, if I may, you just brought up something and the light bulb went off for me. You kind of started this conversation by saying, well, what were there some outfitters that did better than others? And I think that one of the things we've really been seeing, not just in the last year, it was definitely prevalent, but in the last couple of years, is those who are investing in their brand, updating their media assets, going through the website, writing new and engaging copy, staying up to date on the blog, posting regularly, all those kinds of brand maintenance pieces that just need to happen. Those who are doing that naturally are seeing better results because they have fresher content. It's more authoritative. It's being indexed more often by Google. So I think that's a good point to make here too.
Well, and that indexing is what the LLMs are searching and bringing information out of.
Yep.
And SEO, Google did that a long time ago. If you had pages that were outdated or hadn't been updated for a long time, old SEO was ranking those lower. And I think
Yep.
that's even accentuated more so now. You know, the SEO was old news, but SEO has been around forever, and I believe that continued unique and updated content is where the future's going. There's a reason why SEO has been around for so long. So,
Yep.
Yeah. When you have discussions, whether they're internally or with clients about GEO, generative engine optimization, it's a heck of a lot of the same items we cover in SEO. It's just labeled with a different name.
Traditional SEO is not dead.
Correct.